Depending entirely on where you live, you likely view Spam in one of two drastically different ways. For some, it is a punchline about mystery meat. For others, it is a culinary treasure, carefully prepared and deeply respected. To understand the sheer scale of this divide, look at this map showing global consumption. Over 9 billion cans of Spam have been sold worldwide, with massive concentrations lighting up across South Korea and the Pacific Ocean. If you grew up in the United States or Europe, you probably associate the blue and yellow can with two things: cheap, heavily processed grocery filler, and the folder where your unwanted emails go. But travel to Hawaii, Guam, the Philippines, or South Korea, and you will find it occupying a completely different status. There, it anchors national dishes, family gatherings, and holiday celebrations. The Spam can functions as a physical record of 20th century crisis, its global identity forged by the heavy-duty demands of wartime logistics. The origin of this artifact lies in a 1937 economic crisis. J. Hormel was sitting on a massive, unprofitable surplus of pork shoulder. The meat was cheap and plentiful, but notoriously tough to trim, leaving it unsold. This exploded diagram outlines his highly utilitarian solution. Hormel realized that by grinding the tough pork, he could cook it directly inside a tin can. He added salt, water, sugar, and potato starch. But the crucial sixth ingredient was sodium nitrate. This chemical compound prevented the meat from spoiling and eliminated the need for refrigeration. That specific chemical property made it incredibly attractive to the U.S. military. When World War II broke out, the government purchased over 100 million pounds of the shelf-stable meat to feed troops overseas. By combining cheap agricultural surplus with chemical preservation, Hormel created the ultimate logistical tool. It could survive the heat of the Pacific and the cold of the European winter, arriving intact no matter the conditions. For the Western Allied troops deployed in these harsh conditions, the logistics were a nightmare of repetition. Soldiers ate Spam for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, day after day, for years on end. This forced, inescapable repetition bred a deep cultural resentment. Returning Western soldiers mocked the rations they had been forced to rely on, cementing its reputation as an unwanted nuisance. That wartime resentment eventually crossed paths with British comedy. In a famous 1970 sketch, the Monty Python troupe parodied the meat's inescapable ubiquity, portraying a cafe where every single menu item contained Spam, repeatedly chanted by a group of Vikings. 20 years later, early tech pioneers found their screens flooded with relentless, unwanted, repeated digital messages. Needing a term to describe the annoyance, they adopted the comedy sketch's joke. The product's greatest strength during the war was its sheer ubiquitous availability. But for Western troops, that availability was experienced as a punishment, forever linking the brand to inescapable annoyance. The reality in the Pacific Theater, however, was radically different. Local island populations were enduring severe wartime blockades, widespread starvation, and complete resource deprivation. American GIs shared their shelf-stable rations with communities facing starvation, providing a reliable source of protein in regions where traditional supply chains had completely collapsed. Following the war, this protein source integrated completely into local cuisines. During the 1953 Korean War, U.S. base rations mixed directly with local ingredients to create budae-jjigae, or army-base stew. As you can see in this simmering pot, American canned meat fuses seamlessly with traditional Korean spices. Islands like Guam and the Philippines integrated the meat into their national heritage, building new traditions out of wartime necessity. For Pacific and Asian cultures, Spam represents literal survival. It is a direct symbol of human resilience and cultural adaptability, embraced by communities that faced devastating scarcity. Decades later, that reverence remains intact. The brand has evolved into a highly sought-after ingredient, manufactured in over 15 distinct regional flavors globally. Modern consumption data points to deep, multi-generational roots. Residents of Hawaii, captured in this mid-century street scene, consume over 7 million cans annually. Modern chefs are actively elevating the ingredient. It frequently appears on menus at high-end fusion restaurants and food trucks, completely discarding the old mystery meat stigma. The blue and yellow can traces the physical footprint of 20th century military presence and the inventive ways local cultures repurposed foreign rations. The next time you empty your digital junk folder, consider the terminology you're using. That modern annoyance takes its name from a utilitarian miracle that saved millions from starvation, proving that one culture's disaster is another's delicacy.